Go ahead.
Okay, so you're recording.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Community Board 3, March 2021, our full board meeting. At this moment, I'm going to ask our first Vice Chair, Larissa Scheinberg, to explain our Zoom rules for tonight. Thank you.
Good. Thank you, Alicia. Good evening and welcome, and thank you for attending Community Board full board meeting. Please be advised that tonight's meeting is being recorded. At this time, we welcome all non-board members to sign in via the chat box with your name and your affiliation so that we can accurately track attendance for tonight's meeting. Our chat box this evening will be used for sign-in, material distribution, and technical assistance. So if you are experiencing any issues or have any questions regarding anything technical, please reach out via chat and one of our facilitators will contact you and see if we can resolve your issue. During public session, our chair will be recognizing members who have signed up prior to the meeting to speak. The speakers will have a 2-minute limit to make their comments. We recognize that this is your personal time to speak, but we ask that you keep your remarks respectful and refrain from any direct attacks. Thank you and welcome to the meeting. Alicia, go right ahead.
Okay, we're going to get started. Our first speaker for tonight is Michelle Coopersmith. Michelle, 2 minutes.
Okay, give me just a moment, Michelle, to pull up the clock and you can go right ahead.
I can do the clock.
Can you? Yeah, okay, go right ahead.
No
If you got it
problema.
up.
Okay.
Okay, I'm ready. Thanks. Hi, I'm Michelle. I'm a member of the board, but tonight I'm here on behalf of East Village Neighbors Mutual Aid Group. We are a group of volunteers based out of the East Village, obviously. Wait, Linda, are you gonna start the clock?
Oh, sorry. You got an extra 30 seconds.
That's okay. This group originally did a community fridge on East 12th Street, but now is adding in vaccine appointment booking help. So there is a form, I'll put all this information in the chat, but there is a form that you can fill out online with your information to give us to make the appointments. This is not for, we won't make you, we don't have appointments. We make appointments for you at the various city sites and state sites. There's also a hotline that you can call if you have seniors or other folks who don't have internet access. We have translated the form, the online forms into Chinese, Spanish, and we're working on Korean as well. And I'm asking also that if you are a local community group or if you want to volunteer, to please email us if you'd like to partner or if you'd like to help out. We have people who staff the hotline, we have people who make appointments, and we have people who do outreach as well. And I just want to say that this is a great time to ask your building staff, your bodega guy, every delivery person who comes to your front door, every person who's over 50 in your life if they've had their vaccine yet. Statistically, unfortunately, even if they want to get it, they probably have not gotten it. I think that we're at like 16% in CV3 of first doses, and there's a lot of also disparities in the people who have gotten their vaccines. So think about the most vulnerable folks in your life who might not have the time to refresh appointments online constantly. So I'm going to put the website where you can fill out your information or your neighbors or anyone's information, the hotline, and also the email address if you'd like to partner or volunteer. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Our next speaker for tonight is Valentina Jones. Val?
Hi, my name is Valentina Jones. I'm here.
Wait, please, Val, hold on. I don't want you to lose any time.
Okay.
Please restart the clock. Thank you.
Linda, do you want me to run the clock?
I'm sorry, I got,
It's okay.
I need to reset it. I got distracted. Okay, here we go.
No problem.
Go. All right. My name is Valentina Jones. I'm here on behalf of the Lower East Side Power Partnership. I'm a retired registered nurse. On January 11th, we sent a letter to Governor Cuomo and Mayor de Blasio for public outreach and education concerning the vaccine. And according to New York City Health, Saturday, January 9th, our understanding is ZIP 102 had the highest percentage of people who tested positive below 90th Street. Scott Stringer also in January stated that increased public outreach and education to combat misinformation, mistrust, and vaccine hesitancy. An online poll by the city's health department found that more white New Yorkers said they would get vaccinated compared to Black, Hispanic, and Asian New Yorkers. Our understanding is that New York City Health and Hospitals, Gotham Health, Gouverneur, and Betances Health Center, both in ZIP 102, have in-language services for our diverse populations. So we are advocating that we're advocating for these particular community-based organizations to do outreach, testing, vaccinations. Thank you.
Thank you, Val. And that's a good point, actually. Just want to let you know, I have spoken to the borough president about that. Okay. Next, we have Michael Marino. Mike.
Thank you. I'm ready, Linda. So just for a warning, I'm going to mention somebody's name, but I do have their permission to mention their name. I just wanted to say, so some of you might remember last May, I kind of lost my cool during our epic 5.5-hour long meeting and sort of had a little bit of a blow up. And after the incident and some reflection, I reached out privately and apologized to Olympia Kazi, whom the outburst was sort of directed toward. And recently I've come to learn that other board members were also disturbed by this incident, but they were unaware that I privately apologized to Olympia already. So I'd like to just take a moment now to make a more public apology for any actions that caused harm to the individuals or CP3 and specifically Olympia Kazi. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, our next speaker.
Thank you, Michael. I'm sorry. It takes a man to do that.
Thanks, Michael.
Thank you. Okay, next speaker is Eric Diaz. Eric? You gotta unmute yourself, Eric. Yep.
My apologies.
Okay, start the clock again. Hold on, Eric, please, hold on.
Okay. Guys, give me 1 second. Sorry. Hi, my name is Eric Diaz. I am the Executive Director of Vision Urbana, Inc. And I just wanted to provide a quick update on the Vision Urbana vaccine pod that opened last Monday in partnership with the Department of Health and with the Primitive Christian Church, as well as Seward Park Houses. Together, this partnership emerged after a month-long advocacy push and effort to the Department of Health to bring a local vaccine pod to the Lower East Side, very much in line with the previous couple of public speakers that came before me, who are advocating and doing work around vaccine scheduling and appointments for residents who are finding it difficult to have an appointment to receive a vaccination. I'm just here to report that as of today, this is our 7th day providing the vaccine pod. We have right now, as we speak, vaccinated over 800 local senior residents and also essential workers that are in the Lower East Side. This Friday, the Department of Health just let us know will be the final day for the pod that's located here at 266 East Broadway. We're fully booked through the rest of the week, so we anticipate being able to vaccinate over 1,100 local residents. It's been an incredible undertaking, a lot of learning experience for Vision Urbana, our incredible volunteers and staff, Seward Park Houses who allow us to use their space to do this in partnership with the Primitive Church and Department of Health. I'm just also wanted to let the community know that we do have over 300 registrations that we won't be able to vaccinate at this site. Therefore, I'm asking the community to perhaps just write an encouraging email to the Department of Health and to all other advocates to encourage the Department of Health to keep this pod going. And again, with Vision Urbana at the helm, who's been doing all the outreach and scheduling. So just want to provide that update.
Thank you, Eric. Next, we have Campbell Mum. Is Campbell Mum here? Campbell? We'll come back to that person. I don't see them in the,
I have to let him in.
okay, thank you. Okay, he's here, okay.
Hello, can everyone see me?
We see, yes.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Campbell. I'm a sophomore at NYU. I live in the East Village up on 2nd Avenue. I just wanted to come here because I wanted to talk about an increasing, in my opinion, street noise problem. I think that a lot of us are, honestly, it'd be hard not to hear a lot of the like exhaust noises from the cars, some of them that sound like gunshots. So I just wanted to raise that problem in a general sense. Freaks my dog out to hell. And I'm sure that it's, sort of a community wide issue. And then sort of adjacent to that, I wanted to bring up the issue of like double parking on side streets and on 2nd Avenue as well. I think like there's a lack of like curbside management that's going on from the Department of Transportation, in that, there's an enormous amount of deliveries that have to go on, particularly during the pandemic with people getting things sent to their house, tons of Amazon trucks and FedEx trucks and USPS trucks that need to do their deliveries, but there's no allocated space on the curb because the majority of that space has been allocated to parking. And I've been watching a lot of what's been going on in Brooklyn with a trial program that the DOT is running, where they take away maybe 2 parking spots on each block, which are reserved for people who are maybe dropping off their grandmother on the weekend, so they can pull over, drop off their grandma not at the park, or drop off their groceries, or then particularly during the week. These are spaces where these delivery trucks can pull up, load their stuff, and there's no honking fest, with people double parking in the street. Thank you all. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Campbell. Next speaker.
Alicia, can I just respond to that because Paul's not here and for transportation?
Sure, go ahead, Michelle.
So I'll just say, Campbell, please come to our transportation meetings. These are things that we discuss in those committee meetings. We are aware of all those problems and we know about the pilot as well. So I encourage you to check our agenda on the website and come the next time. Thanks.
Okay, I certainly will. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Michelle, for responding. Next, we have Kyle Kelly from the New York City Parks Department. Are you here?
Alicia, can you tell Richard Robiak to cut his mic?
Richard, where's Richard? I don't even see Richard. Richard, can you please?
He just did.
Okay.
I think you guys hear me?
Yeah, he did.
All right. How's everybody doing today?
Good,
right.
thank you.
So my name is Kyle Kelly. I'm calling from Partnership for Parks. I just wanted to give a quick update that we will have an informational session tomorrow, March 24th, in regards to the work that's going to be done at the Little Flower Playground. We're trying to get as many people to log in for this informational session. It will be virtually. I will be dropping the actual flyer with the information on it. So if anybody's interested in logging in tomorrow, you feel free to. So yeah, quick little update. If you guys have any questions, you can always email me, kyle.kelly@parks.nyc.gov, and I'll be glad to help. Thank you.
Thank you, Kyle. Next and last speaker is Sarah Bachu from the Girls Club, Lower East Side Girls Club of New York. Sarah, where's Sarah?
And repeat the name, I'll find her.
Sarah Bachu.
Got it. Okay.
Hi, is it possible for me to share my screen?
There's a good question.
It would be helpful, just quick visuals for people.
All right, I'm gonna get you. You're probably I'm gonna have to stop the clock. So you got to behave yourself and
I'm
talk less
behaving,
than
I promise, I promise.
2 minutes. Okay. You should be able to do it now.
I don't have the option yet.
You don't?
No.
I promoted you to a panelist.
Linda, I'm sorry to interrupt, but you would have to make her a co-host to share her screen because sharing screen is turned off for all the panelists.
Oh, okay. Well, let's see. Where is she? Now I lost her.
I'm here still, at least in spirit, if not on screen.
Yeah. Sarah, where did you go? Completely disappeared from my list here.
Are you looking in the right place? Because you did promote me. So I might be in a different bucket now.
I'm looking in the panelist list, which is what wait, no, that's not you. How weird. This whole meeting is strange. All right, I'm gonna go through a whole thing here. Hold on. Okay, first I'm making you a panelist. Then, with any luck, we'll make you a co-host.
I'm here and you've disabled my screen sharing.
Since you start by a camera, we see a face.
Here we go. We're ready. We're ready. Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah Bachu. I am the Chief of Staff at the Lower East Side Girls Club. Hello to the people I know, and great to meet you for the people I don't. I know many people are familiar with the Girls Club, so I'll just be brief. The Girls Club provides enrichment programming and after-school programming, primarily for middle school and high school girls. But I'm really here to talk about a new initiative that we've been rolling out over the last year called the Center for Wellbeing and Happiness. And the Center for Wellbeing and Happiness extends what we've always done at the Girls Club, just serving the girls, serving their families, but extending that to the entire community, the entire Lower East Side. And we'll be providing free wellness programming that is available to all Lower East Side community members, regardless of their gender, regardless of their age, from the littlest babies and toddlers to grandmothers, grandparents. And so right now we're starting. We have online classes and the programming that we have available, and I'll share the website in the chat. It's centerforwellbeing.nyc. It includes yoga and parenting support. We have culinary classes. We have health education. Right now, we're moving into expanding into workforce development, job training, financial counseling, and really trying to meet the full wellness needs of the entire community. We know that there are a lot right now and have been even before the pandemic. So we're really trying to get people to become members and to access this programming, as well as to help shape the programming with us. It is a partnership. Our programming is led by instructors from the Lower East Side. And so we really want to hear from folks. We'll be doing focus groups, we'll be doing surveys. And we also have a physical space. It's not open yet, but will be open soon. And I wanted to show everyone the floor map. That's primarily why I wanted to show slides. So if you guys have been on Avenue D, right, near our current space on 8th and Avenue D, we have a whole storefront that used to be the Rite Aid across from Reese and Wald's. And now it is going to be the future home of the Center for Wellbeing and Happiness. We'll have all of these different spaces, studio space for movement classes. We'll have a community sound studio for a community radio station. We'll have the food pharmacy where people can get fresh food, fresh pressed juices. Maybe we'll bring back our CSA. And so it really will be a community space. And we're hoping to open that towards the end of the year. But for right now, like I said, we do have virtual programming that I really encourage everyone on this call, all of you as Lower East Side community members, as well as your networks of neighbors and friends and family, please go to centerforwellbeing.nyc/join and become a member. Again, membership is free. Our programming is free. Everything, it's free to anybody, all genders, all races, ethnicities, anything. And that's, primarily the message I wanted to deliver. And of course, you can always reach out to us also via that website with any feedback or questions. And I'll throw the website in the chat again. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. I'd like to invite you back another day to share with us some updates on what's going on with the Girls Club during this pandemic. I think that we all are probably a little curious how the girls are handling things during this pandemic and how hard it is to run the clubhouse while while we're doing all of this Zoom stuff.
Absolutely. We'd love to come present in a relevant committee or at the full board. Ms. Pullman, you just let me know. Susan has my email, and we're happy to bring our team to share more. Right now we're virtual, but our team is really itching to get back in person with the girls, and hopefully, that's something we can do in the coming months. But we're doing well. Virtual is hard. We all feel the strain, especially I'm sure on the Zoom calls. So happy to come back and do a fuller presentation.
Thank you so much.
Of course. Have a good one, guys.
You too. Okay. That concludes our public session for tonight's meeting. We are now going to go into our elected officials reports. And so we're going to go in order. Are there any elected officials in the House? Oh, Harvey's here. I see Harvey. And anyone else? I see a bunch of panelists that should be attendees. I don't know if you could please.
I think Brad is also here, and I think I see Gail Brewer as Marianne Mackey.
Okay, let's see. You said Brad is here. Is Brad in the attendees?
I got him.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And you said you saw
Gail as Marianne Mackey, I believe.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here somehow.
Oh, you got in. Okay.
Okay. Who is that? Okay. Okay. Madam President is here. Okay. So let's see. Borough President, would you like to go first, or should I call on our senator first?
Go ahead with your senator. Go ahead with your senator.
Okay, thank you so much. And then I'm going to call on Harvey afterwards. Okay, so that's going to be the order unless I see anybody else, any other elected officials. Okay, go ahead. Good evening, Senator.
Good evening. Thank you, Gail. Gail, are you sure you don't want to go first? I know you're so.
Oh, go ahead. I'll go next or whatever. Go ahead.
Okay. Just wanted to say hello to everyone. Hope everyone's doing well. We've had so much gun violence and hate over the last few days, including just this week in Colorado and of course last week in Georgia. And we've seen a lot of demonstrations on the part of the community in support of the Asian American community members. And I just want to say, that I stand very strongly with that community and have been to a number of rallies and demonstrations that were very moving. And I'm continuing to work on combating gun violence, including legislation that would ban so-called ghost guns, which are guns that are disassembled, are not traceable, and can actually be downloaded from the internet and put together at home. They're obviously untraceable and evade any background checks. So I wanted you to know that. Second, I introduced legislation today, as a matter of fact, that would create a long haul COVID registry. It's modeled after what we saw and learned from the 9/11 registry, where folks who had long-term symptoms could be tracked voluntarily with services and other support provided to them, those who served on the pile or who worked in the neighborhood. Well, we should be doing the same, in my opinion, for COVID long haulers. And the range of symptoms around long-term COVID is really quite daunting. Everything from body aches and muscle pains, fatigue, fevers that last for months, to neurological issues and more. So my idea is to create this through the State Department of Health, and I'll let you know more about it as the bill proceeds. But I think it's the first step in recognizing the problem by the state of New York of long COVID and making sure that those who have not been able to fully eradicate their system of the virus for whatever reason have the long-term support, including potentially disability payments. Finally, I wanted to say that I'm having a forum on March 28th, this Sunday, with a man named Peter Marks. Nobody really knows who Peter Marks is. He's a doctor, and he's the person who ultimately approves all the vaccines at the FDA. He works alongside Tony Fauci and others with the National Institute of Allergy and Diseases. And I'm having a forum this Sunday where you'll be able to ask him about the variants, which I know are sending a shudder throughout many of our communities. People wondering if the COVID vaccine they have is protective against the variant, and you know, to what extent, and should we all be concerned? Well, that's going to be Sunday at 6 p.m. And I've been working with Harvey, Senator Kavanaugh, and others on the issue of the comfort stations at the East River Park. They're beautiful historic structures with terracotta that's, you know, world renowned, in fact. And I want to make sure that we preserve those amazing buildings. I'm working with the Lower East Side Preservation organization to make sure that that happens. We'll tell you more about that. Hopefully we'll have some public facing events on that. And then finally, if you need help getting a vaccine appointment, please don't hesitate to call my office. We've helped arrange appointments for over 1,000 folks in the area. We're very proud to help bring the pop-up site to Campos a couple of weeks ago. And with more vaccines coming online, you know, some neighborhood folks need help going online to get those vaccines. So please reach out for that. Finally, and I mean this finally, there is another forum that I'm having on Wednesday, next Wednesday at 6 p.m. on the issue of ranked choice voting. We're going to train community members on what it's about, how to participate, what it's going to do to your vote in our municipal 2021 elections in June. That's my report. Caroline Wexelbaum is here from my team. Thank you, Caroline, for all your work. And there's a printed report, I think, available to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Senator Holloman.
Senator, is that next Wednesday or tomorrow Wednesday? The forum.
Oh, the forum, there's one forum on Wednesday, March 25th. And that's at 6 p.m. and it'll be, of course, online. And of course, I meant to say the Lower East Side Preservation Initiative, not the Lower East Side Preservation Institute, although maybe they should become an institute. They're so good.
Thank you, Senator.
Thanks.
Okay, our next speaker is our Madam Chair, Gail Brewer. Gail, you're muted.
Okay, thank you very much, Board 3. And I want to thank all of you for often joining the 3 o'clock Tuesday. I know Senator Holman was on. You're all welcome. But we are trying every single Tuesday at 3 o'clock. We were doing vaccines, and we find, of course, you know, the city's always on, and I appreciate it. The stage is always on, and I appreciate it. But there are a lot of issues with the vaccines. Despite the great work that Eric Diaz and others are doing, we're still challenged, I think, by the homebound. I haven't gotten a clear answer as to how that's going to work. So, so what we're doing with 3 o'clock on Tuesday, every single Tuesday at 3, we're going to have vaccine 1 week. And then today, and Senator Holman was on, we had amazing speakers from the congressional delegation, from the National League of Cities, and from a local Center for the Future, talking about this billions coming to the city and the state. And I challenge anybody to know exactly how it is going to be spent. And I would really want the community boards to be involved. Short version, some goes to the state, some comes directly to the city. You've got housing, small business, cultural, and the list goes on. And as somebody who was for 4 years in Washington for Mayor Dickens, I know how hard it is to get this money, but I also know that we have to have a lot of oversight. So that's why we're getting informed. We learned today that December 31, 2024, if we don't spend the money, it goes back to Washington. I don't want a penny to go back to Washington. So I just want to say, please feel free to join us, and feel free as a community board to do your own oversight. It's really a lot of money. I want as much as possible to go to the community 3 community. And the second thing is just in terms of, we've really been pushing on different issues. One of them, of course, is, and a big one for the Lower East Side, is the issue of land use and religious facilities. And I certainly want to thank you because you've been paying attention. But we had a task force on this topic for a couple of years, and the report is now available on our website. And I think what it says is, you know, be very careful as a religious institution before you start dealing with developers. And I hope that you would work with the community first. That's the short version. We also did one on open streets, affordable housing, and then small business. I know that there's a lot of discussion about it, but we have some ideas. I think they could maybe be a solution. There's no solution, but something they could work towards this lease issue, because it's about the rent and the lease. You can dance around it, but that's the real issue. And then just in terms of specific issues, just like everybody else, I want to thank Carlin Chan, who had really the first rally after Mr. Hall was killed in the state of Pennsylvania. And I've had friends who've had bottles thrown at them who are Asian. I don't want to, it's just awful. I'm supportive. I really appreciate the community for all the organizing that has going on, and I'll be at every rally. I don't, you know, it's horrible. I wanted to say in terms of escrow, we did do a letter to the mayor asking that the city unredact some of the Valley engineering study information regarding this project. I know others have done the same. I also just want to mention that we're working again now with the Yiddish Theater Walk of Fame. We want to be able to make sure that those walk solutions are not lost in terms of the historic set of stones. And I want to say we've been working with the Dadis Wine Bar, which you have, and then just some damaged roadway in front of eye and ear. These are really challenging times between the COVID, what's happening in terms of the zoning. I did not support the city council proposal, but I'd love to work on it generally. And I think, you know, we have announcements in terms of leadership development training seminars coming up. Thank you very much for everything in Board 3. I know you're busy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to, Madam President, I'd like to just say thank you so much for the task force, because it really was informative for me personally. If it wasn't for the African-American doctors explaining the vaccine to me, I don't think I would have pushed the issue of me going to get vaccinated. I'll be honest with you. So thank you very much for having the task force meeting. And today was also very informative. I saw Valentina, another board member, on the call today as well. And a lot of information about the money. And I really think that we really need to break down where this money is going to go. Very important that we do pay close attention, because there have been some delays from, I don't know, I think someone mentioned today from the state, there was some delays going on. And I know that other board members, Olympia has been paying close attention to arts and cultural money being trickled down properly to our artists and the industry. So thank you so much. I see there's two hands up, Valentina and Richard. So Val, you're first.
Okay. Yes, I was at the meeting today. It was excellent. And one of the things I wanted to ask in terms of oversight, I looked up, I think her name was Stephanie, put in the chat the participating programs. And so the health centers that are participating in our district, Baton says, and it has here New York City Health and Hospital. So I'm assuming that Gotham, Gouverneur would be one. So one of the ways that we could do oversight would it be for us to like make sure that these two facilities in our district of 102, that they do get funding because they are on the list of health centers and programs in New York?
Absolutely, Val. And also,
Okay.
I mean, I think working with Nydia Velasquez and anybody else, we can be supportive also. Not only getting money, but make sure you get a lot of money and that you get, you know exactly how much it is and how it's going to be used and all those things that normally we have no clue. Yes.
Okay, good. Thank you. And it was very helpful, going to that site. Thanks.
Okay, Richard, you're next.
Hi, Madam Borough President. Last month, you made a comment about having had a discussion with Monsignor Sullivan of Catholic Charities concerning the Cardinal Spellman Center. It was a very fast comment. Would you be able to elaborate on that discussion anymore?
Absolutely, I'll try. And I know Council Member Carlina Rivera was also on the call. So this particular building, it was interesting to me because we flagged it based on what Community Board 3 has been doing and our religious task force, like what's going on with this building? And you know it better than I do. So when we met, actually Monsignor Sullivan was really pleased that, somebody had said, what are you doing with this building? Because he actually felt that Catholic Charities wasn't using it to its maximum and that there could be other programs in there. So again, you're welcome to also, work with Catholic Charities about programs that need to be in there. His biggest problem, one of them, is that there is no elevator. And so actually in the budget process, he is asking the Manhattan Borough President and the council member to fund an elevator. So we're looking at it. These things are not inexpensive. So we're trying to see how we can do that. Secondly, he did talk, I'm just saying generally, his dream would be to put affordable housing there, but it's a long-term project. So of course, if you put in an elevator and it costs your, taxpayer money, I always think, why am I putting in an elevator if we're going to do affordable housing? But it's a long-term project, I think, to do the affordable housing. So in the interim, he's looking how he can support more people from the community, more homeless. What are the social service, human service programs that would work in that building? But an elevator is really helpful and almost needed in order to work with the community to its fullest. So I hope that answers your question, Richard, but that's what's going on.
Yes, thank you very much. It was very helpful.
Olympia Kazi.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. So thank you, Gail, because you contributed so much in the budget amnesty that the schools just got for the under enrollment and the fact that they don't need to return the money anymore from last year. This is major. At the same time, what is happening is some schools had actually kept the money because they expected to have to return it. And so they do have the money, some money at least, and they cannot use it for next year that they will use it when the kids return in person because they are supposed to use them by the end of this year. So there is this restriction also with the relief funds that are coming from federal and state. The problem is timing because by the time the money comes, they need to use them. But if they need to hire, let's say, extra tutors because all the kids are behind in reading, they don't have the time to do the hiring. So there is a lag between when the money arrives and when they need to be dispersed. So whatever we can do, like if your office can advocate for flexibility in this year, because if the money, you tell me that I can use it in March, but now I need to use it by June. What are they, wizards? And so whatever we can do to address this issue, because a lot of local schools are having this issue.
Okay. Olympia, I'd love to work with you on that. I don't like to give up one penny. I'm a very stingy. So we'll work on it together.
I'm so glad you're that way, Gail. I'm so glad you're that way. Okay, I see one more hand, Maylee.
Hi, the computer raised the hand, but it's still me. So I just wanted to follow up just about all this funding. Gail, you're suggesting that, we need to sort of constantly keep monitoring and doing our own monitoring, but we also need a little help.
Yes.
So we appreciate all help, because we're also getting all this information and everything is new right now. And many of the agencies themselves aren't clear either. So any help you can provide us to get more clarity on everything, the education and these health clinics. And there's other things too, I'm sure we're not talking about, but we kind of need it all together.
We're all learning on this together. I do think that in your case, since your Congress member is head of the Small Business Committee, she or her staff, as an example, could come and talk about the small business. But in general, we're going to put in writing everything we know. I'm not saying it's 100%, but everything we know, and break it down for each district. So we will try. I'm just saying it's still going to take all of you and all of us to try to figure it out. And the state folks will be very helpful. For the first time, some of the money goes directly to the city, but there's still money that goes to the state. I'm a big techie, so the broadband money, just so you know, goes to the state as an example. But yes, we will break it down, May, for you, for everybody.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Madam President. We're going to move on now to oh, Susan, I didn't see your hand. I'm sorry.
Thank you. I can't find my my raised hand button. It's a new version. Sorry. So Gail, going back to this funding, May and I have been spending a lot of time very unsuccessfully trying to figure out where to advocate, because the state is saying that the federal money for education is not coming through the state. City DOE doesn't seem to be clear. An article I read from Chalkbait seems to say it's going to the district. We have till October 2024 to spend it, but I'm sure some of it needs to be spent now. So this is just to emphasize kind of what May's saying about needing help. We have been trying, and with every try we get further away, we know less. We know less. So it's been very difficult.
I'm laughing, Susan, because that's why we're doing this. But anyway, we will try to break it down. We know some people who can help us. So we will be in touch on education in particular. But the bad news is it's housing, it's cultural, it's broadband, etc.
Thank you. And thank you very much for the Zoom money.
Good, thank you.
Okay, next we have our Assemblyman, Harvey Epstein.
Thank you, Alicia. I hope everyone's doing well and enjoying the spring weather out there today. So I just take a couple minutes to update, and Aura on the Zoom, and you have our report. Just a quick update on impeachment. As people may know, the first meeting of the Judiciary Committee today happened to discuss moving forward on the impeachment of the governor. They're doing it the investigation stage. This obviously, we're questioning witnesses on 4 different topics: the nursing homes, the sexual harassment, the bridge, and immunity issues. It's going to take some time. We've hired private counsel. So everyone knows the governor was asked to resign, but a lot of people didn't do it. So it's going to take a while. Now, as Brad just mentioned about all the hate crimes we've seen, the rise of hate crimes, I, as well as others, have rallied to support our Asian brothers and sisters and against Asian hate crimes. It's really atrocious what's going on here. On the budget update, we released our one house budgets last week. People should look at those. We proposed, about $7 billion in new revenue. Governor came out today, proposed a new revenue. What's really critical that we talk about this and why we need revenue for higher ed and other issues. We passed our halt solitary confinement bill, which limits solitary to 15 days. It's on the governor's desk, and we're hoping that he signs it. It was sent to him on Friday. You might have seen the press potentially that we think we have a potential three-way agreement on legalization of cannabis, and I think we'll be voting on that next week. A huge win. Moving forward, our accessory dwelling unit bill, and we've gotten some great support around the state. And the hope is that we could potentially legalize hundreds of thousands of units by passing the ADU law, which is really allowing people to, in homes to have a second unit or a third unit, and legalizing basement apartments. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of units. As I said, they could be long-term affordable units. Brad and I, in our small business relief, we got $1 billion both in the Assembly and the Senate budget for this small business relief, whether it's rent relief or other business relief. I think that's really important to people push for. And if people want to get involved in it, we have a week to have a conversation with the governor about what we really need in New York State, whether it's rent relief for businesses or rent relief for tenants, or all the issues we're pushing forward on. I would love people to engage in this process. We've also had a lot of people who've had issues with getting vaccinations. Borough President's been an amazing leader on this, but if you need help from our office, please do. And I'll finally say on Thursday night, we're doing a Women's of Distinction event for Women's History Month with 3 local women leaders. And if people want to join onto the Zoom, it'll be in our report. But it's just a really critical week, so I hope people will follow up with us and help us pass a really progressive budget that funds higher education and things we need across New York State. And Alicia, there's a question. I'm happy to take it, or 2.
Yes, okay, I see one hand. Let me just check and see who this is. Oh, it's Jackie. Go ahead, Jackie.
Hi, my question is about the housing relief, the rent relief program. So I just wanted to say that it is a great idea to move the distributing agency from DHCR to OTDA. And the bill is also written better than California because it has some clauses that prevent abuse of such limited resources. So my question to you is that when it is going to be available for application, and are we able to check the application status online? Because I'm not really familiar with how OTDA does their work. And also, are we going to add new funding to this $1.3 billion for the program or not? I just heard from, we all heard from Gail, there's gonna be new money coming to the city and state.
So the rent relief bill that we proposed in the one house was $3 billion, Jackie. So it's from the first tranche of money, second tranche of money, and we also put some state money up to ensure that all New Yorkers, if you're undocumented or not, have access to the rent relief. And so the process we're putting in place will be the landlord or the tenant can apply for the rent relief. So sometimes it traditionally in the last application process, which HCR, I believe, really messed up, it was the tenant who applied. This allows the landlord and the tenant to apply, but we're preferencing small property owners to ensure that they get their first advantage. And we're also creating 21-day windows. So when people apply, they'll close an application process those that came in those 21 days, and then get to the next group instead of waiting 4 months to process all the applications. So I think we'll be able to move that a lot quicker. OTDA deals with this issue all the time. And so for at least on the residential rent relief, I think this will move much quicker than what we saw at HCR. Some counties may not opt in. I know New York City may do its own, but it may go through OTDA. It may just do it through DSS and New York City, or sorry, HRA. So we'll just have to see how the city plays it out. But it's my expectation that we're going to have a good chunk of money, unless the governor tries to cut back on some of the state money we've put in. You can't really do much about the federal dollars that we're putting forward for rent relief on the residential side. And I think the big part of the state money is that we need to give money to undocumented people. And we need to make sure that there aren't any limitations to those folks who need rent support. We're also doing two other, I think, really critical things, which is the HAVP, which is giving money for people who are currently in the shelter system to find permanent housing. That's $200 million. We're also doing assistance to property owners and mortgage relief, $100 million to ensure that property owners who have mortgage arrears, because we can't do anything with federal mortgages, we can only do with state mortgages. They give them some relief that they need because they may need, on top of the rent support, they may need individual relief. So I think there's a lot in the state budget that we should be proud of that I think will be helping landlords and tenants.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Sure, thank you.
There's another hand. Let's see, Carlin, go ahead.
Yes, question for you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yep, I hear you fine.
Okay. Question for you, Harvey. Okay, since we're enjoying a spike in attacks, random attacks on Asians, and much verbal harassment on the streets, harassment itself is not a crime. If the police happen to be on the scene, they can try to shoot a person off. If the person refuses to leave, there's really nothing the police can do. But we all know many people have a pattern of harassment or harassing people based on sexual orientation, based on race, religion. Right? Is there any plans to introduce legislation and to change the New York Penal Code to include harassment as a hate crime into a more serious charge?
Carlin, that's a really good question. And honestly, it's not something I've heard people propose as of yet. I know we've talked a lot about managing the crisis that we've seen around the anti-Asian violence and the increase in hate. And, I, like everyone else, has kind of participated in events. But legislatively, I don't know. I haven't heard anybody trying to increase criminal sanctions. And just to be honest, our House has been traditionally opposed to more criminal sanctions. And we traditionally focus on less criminal sanctions, which I mentioned, like with decriminalization of marijuana and legalization of that. We're trying to reduce the amount of people who are arrested. We don't want obviously the anti-Asian bias is awful, but I'm not sure that criminalizing people is gonna reduce that. So I think there's a lot more education that needs to happen across our city, state, and country.
I have a quick follow-up. There was an incident of attack on an Asian woman and her young child Sunday afternoon, right after the Asian hate rally here in Columbus Park. Arrested was an individual named Eric Diavero. He was arraigned and then released. Now he has 9 priors of assault. This is classified as an E-felony, 1 count of E-felony assault. Should this person be released right back onto the streets?
Yeah, so Garland, I don't really have all the details of what they were charged with, but so there are 3 ways people can be held. One is that they're flight risk. 2 is they've committed a violent offense and they will be requested to pay bail. And 3 really is if they're a danger to themselves or others. So I don't know what the judge decided in that. I don't know why they were released, but there are a lot of grounds right now to hold people who need to be held. I mean, we did pass some bail reform legislation 2 years ago because we saw that bail was used as basically a crime of poverty, basically which people who had money, rich people could get out, and low income people had to stay behind bars. And that's why we really focused on bail reform. But it was only for non-violent offenses. So I don't know what happened here, but if people engage in violent acts, the criminal justice system has the ability to hold people. And it sounds like what you're saying is they assaulted someone, and an assault is a violent offense. I don't know why they were released or why did they make bail. I don't really know what happened.
Well, since no one's talking, this was an E-felony.
Carlin, I'm so sorry. I know you want to get into more of this with Harvey, but I'm going to encourage you to please contact Harvey off this meeting so that we can move forward, okay? Thank you so very much. Okay, our next, Harvey, I thank you so much for everything tonight. Anyone else have a question for Harvey?
Alice.
I see a hand. Who's that hand from? Kay, go ahead, Kay.
Kay Webster. Yeah, hi, Harvey. I would also be interested in whatever you and Carlin come up with, because I was on a call with the 5th Precinct, Wellington Chen, and Justin, you also talking about, Wellington was one step behind the guy who got stabbed. So there's big concern. A lot of SDR Park is in Chinatown, and we have the Huaimei Bird Sanctuary. So there's a big uptick there, and a lot of pitting of communities against one another. So whatever you figure out, I would love to hear. I will add that Carlin and I both also know that our lighting and it's along the East River as well, with the anti-Asian crime going up and other crime, just walking while female, that their lighting matters in our parks, and we can't seem to get the Parks Department to move on it. So.
Well, I think if there's things we could collectively do around the lighting, I mean, I think if the board's written a resolution in support of additional lighting, we've talked about additional lighting East River Park a lot. And so if there are things that we can collectively do, we can lead on a letter that we can get all our local electeds and borough presidents to sign on to get better lighting. That's an easy solution to a really complicated problem. This park should provide decent lighting. So if that's something that, I don't know if the board's written a resolution in support of additional lighting, but we're happy to work with the board and
We'll talk, we'll find out other parks that also, because Sarah Roosevelt and Carlin has talked about Columbus Park. So.
Well, I think that's something we should do quickly. So if we could work on that, we could do a letter. I'm sure any of us could lead on it, or Susan can lead and get the letter out, and we can just push them all.
I think Susan's tried with Parks and DOT for a long time.
I see your hand, Susan.
So just to address that, at the last district service cabinet, the 7th precinct actually brought up a number of spots in FDR Park, and there are also ones in SDR Park where I believe they are following up. We generally don't write resolutions for service delivery because that's something you're supposed to do, and we shouldn't have to follow up a lot. But it's because it's interagency, it does become a problem. But we certainly will follow up in 2 weeks, and I will ask them to bring the information to the meeting, and maybe Aura can help me remember to put all those spots on the agenda.
Thank you.
Val?
Yeah, just to follow up on that, my understanding is for Power Partnership, we contacted the Parks Department and they said they put in a work order, which what they said was it should take 5 to 10 days. I talked to the person from Parks today, and he said he was following up. And so I said that we would definitely get back in touch with him before the next Parks Committee meeting to see what has happened.
Okay, thank you, Val. That concludes our questions for Harvey, I believe. I don't see any more hands. So thank you very much, Harvey, for attending tonight.
Sure. Good night, everyone.
Wishing
Thank you.
you well. Wish you well.
You too.
Okay, let's go back into the order. I believe that's all of our elected officials that were present tonight. Anyone from the mayor's office here? I don't see anyone from the mayor's office. Okay. Jamani Williams' office, our public advocate. Anyone from his office? Philip, is Philip here? Do you see Philip Ellenson? No, okay. Luke is here. Luke, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. I am here. To start, I'm going to drop a bunch of links to our spring newsletter, as well as information related to some of our immigration work, as well as some NYCHA work in the chat, along with my email address. So invite you to take a look at that at your convenience. To start, just on behalf of the controller, I want to express our condolences and solidarity with the Asian American community who, as we've discussed, has gone through so much in recent months and years, and as well as the families of the victims in Georgia and Colorado. And they're in our thoughts right now. Some things that we've been working on recently is one piece of good news around the mid-year adjustment, and that this week the DOE announced they're going to hold schools harmless for changes in enrollment this year. So some schools would have had to give back hundreds of thousands of dollars, and the DOE said, after advocacy from the controller, that they will not be forcing schools to make these changes and give back money, which many of them have already allocated. So we're pleased to hear that news, that schools will be able to better serve their schools and communities and not have to return those funds. Two other pieces of information I want to share is one around our workplace survey. So this week, Controller Stringer and an organization called A Better Balance released a survey focused on how people were able to balance work and family during the pandemic. We surveyed over 1,200 New Yorkers. And what we found was that there's really a crisis of care. Over half of the women surveyed had to pull back on paid work hours due to the fact they cannot afford affordable and accessible childcare. So we put forward a number of recommendations to really address this. And what we found was that frontline workers, women, people of color, low-income New Yorkers were more dramatically harmed, and we need to make sure that they have the services and access to services that they need to fully participate in the workforce. One other thing we put out this month, which I also linked, was we put out a plan really thinking about how the NYPD can change their response to peaceful protests, which is something I know this district was very intimately involved in last summer. And what we found was that after the protest last summer, New Yorkers filed over 440 complaints against the NYPD. And in recent years, the city's paid out, in some cases, over $200 million in claims against the NYPD. So we really think that, one, fiscally, but also two, to make sure that we're preserving people's rights to peaceful protest, there needs to be serious changes in how the NYPD responds to peaceful protests. So we put forward a number of recommendations to do so, and really hope the NYPD takes up on these recommendations, both for the city's fiscal health, but also to make sure that New Yorkers can maintain their First Amendment rights. Just a few updates from our office, and invite you to take a look at what I dropped in the chat for more information.
Okay, I don't see any hands for Luke. Any hands, any questions for him from the full board? Andrea, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Luke. Thank you for the report. I just have a quick question regarding the survey with the care survey. I'm aware that that with the relief bill, the federal relief bill, there's been some stipulations around employers being able to provide tax credits, especially for parents throughout the pandemic. They're able to, you know, get all this tax credits from the payroll tax in particular. And you know, I'm just learning all of this as someone who navigates this quite a lot. And I can only imagine that small businesses don't have access to this kind of knowledge. So I'm just wondering if you could speak to a little bit regarding, I don't know if the office has any kind of resources for particularly small businesses navigating that and being able to afford more time off for mothers in particular.
That's a really good question, a really good point. I'm not sure if we've developed any resources yet. I think our office is, like many, still digging through the bill and figuring out all the ways that New York City benefits, and like the borough president recommended, how we can really be smart about how we're allocating all those funds within the city. We do have some programs and have advocated for more outreach to door to door to go small businesses. I think that this could potentially be a great opportunity to do that as well. One small business thing I will kind of plug is we are doing our MWBE universities coming up across the spring and summer. These are opportunities for businesses to learn more about the MWBE program, how to make sure that they are eligible for procurement opportunities through the city, because the city does not have a very strong history of making sure our minority and women-owned businesses get these type of contracts and services. So we're trying to make sure we really boost those rates. So that's one thing on the small business front we are actively working on, but I will certainly take your idea back specifically around the rescue package to see if we could do more outreach around that as well. So thank you.
I'm happy to talk more offline about some specifics. So
great, we'll follow up.
Okay, thank you. I see there's another hand. Let's see, who's that from? Andrea, your hand. Okay, Who's the other person? No one? Okay, thank you. All right, thank you, Luke. Our next representative, let's see, anyone from Nydia Velasquez's office?
Hi,
Yes,
good evening.
okay, hi. Yes,
Good
Ms.
evening, everyone. I'm here to, this is Ling Xia from Congresswoman Nydia Velasquez's office, and I'm here tonight to bring some updates on the Congresswoman's legislative work. She introduced as we know that one crucial part of the COVID vaccine rollout is to ensure that the communities of color get vaccinated. And then so far, we've seen disparities in the rates of vaccination among community of color. And so Congresswoman introduced a new legislation to combat vaccine hesitancy and misinformation around vaccine, especially in communities of color. Her bill is called Building COVID-19 Vaccine Confidence Act of 2021. It would direct CDC to fund grants to state, local, territorial, and tribal health departments to conduct outreach on the vaccine's safe and efficacy to give resources to do a community-based approach to vaccine outreach to combat vaccine hesitancy and misinformation. And then second, in light of the mass shooting in Georgia and Colorado, once again, it's an urgent reminder that we really need gun control. And Congresswoman reintroduced a bill that would address the iron pipeline of guns smuggled across state lines to locations with more lenient gun laws. So this bill is going to establish a national standard for weapon identification technology installed within firearms so that law enforcement can trace the origin of guns connected to criminal activity. And in light of all the hate crime against Asians, harassment, hate crimes, Congresswoman is endorsing Congresswoman Mann's COVID-19 Hate Crime Act, which is going to provide resources to help law enforcement to indict hate crime. And this bill is also going to create a special position within the Department of Justice to help coordinate and process all the hate crimes to speed up the hate crime identification and indictment. And lastly, she introduced legislation called Public School Green Rooftop Program that would allocate federal resources toward implementing green roofs at public elementary school and secondary schools. These roofs offer a sustainable and energy efficient way of bringing a green space to urban areas and have educational benefits and for the community at large. Thank you.
Okay, there's one hand, Val.
Sorry, one of the things I shared during the public session was the fact that Power Partnership sent a letter January 11th about outreach, and the two places that we mentioned here at ZIP 100-02 was Betances and Gouverneur Gotham Health. So what I want to know is, how do we follow up on this? I think one of the things at the borough meeting today was very much about oversight. And I think the way to go about advocacy and oversight is to make sure that we follow up that these places actually, that it translates into them getting funding and services. So how do we follow up on this bill, or when do we follow up on this bill? How do we advocate for these particular services here in ZIP 100-02?
Thank you, Val, and thank you for the letter. By the way, I shared the letter with the Washington team, and I think advocacy it's the feedback and advocacy from community groups and community activists like you that prompted the legislation. because we know very well that it's outreach and
Yeah.
truly effective vaccine education cannot be done without a community-based approach. The legislation is being handled by the legislative team in DC. I will forward to them again. I forwarded your letter to them, so I will forward again your what you just mentioned and ask them, what's next, and then maybe maybe we can have the next step meeting or some or outreach with community groups to see the next step advocacy for the bill. Once again, it cannot be done without collaboration with community groups.
Okay, good. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Val.
And thank the Congresswoman, a healthy for health. Thank you.
Thank you, Val.
Okay, any more questions for our representative? Okay, thank you so much. And please let our Congresswoman know that we really do appreciate her hard work, especially right now around affordable housing.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have Congressmember Carolyn Maloney. Is Victor here?
Yes.
Go ahead, Victor.
Congresswoman Maloney highlights the need to pass the Violence Against Women Reauthorization Act, urges all members to vote yes on the House floor. Congresswoman Maloney is the lead House sponsor of the Equal Rights Amendment and the author of the Debbie Smith Act and its subsequent reauthorization. The Debbie Smith Act, which increases funding for law enforcement to process DNA rape kits, has been called the most important anti-rape legislation in history. Quote, Madam Speaker, today we will vote to reauthorize the Violence Against Women's Act, one of the most important bills in history to protect women and girls. This photograph is of then Senator Joe Biden, myself, and other women leaders when we introduced this important bill in 1994, over 25 years ago. It is still important. We need to reauthorize it. There is no doubt he, President Joe Biden, will sign it into law. We live in a world where 1 in 4 women have experienced sexual violence. Reauthorizing the Violence Against Women's Act is about creating a future where all those experiencing dating and gender-based violence feel supported, seek help, and where survivors are given the tools they need to heal. It is about ensuring a better, safer future for the next generation. I urge a yes vote by all of my colleagues, said Congresswoman Carolyn Maloney. These and other issues can be found in the Congresswoman's website. Thank you.
Okay, any questions? Yes, I see your hand, Kate. Go ahead.
I just want to, Victor, I just want to thank Representative Carolyn Maloney because she has always been persistent in trying to get the Equal Rights Amendment passed. And the Commission on the Status of Women at the UN is in town globally, connecting women from all over. And it's embarrassing that we don't have an Equal Rights Amendment in the United States. I think we're one of very few countries. So thank you.
Thank you, Kay. Are there any other questions for our Congresswoman? Okay. Thank you so much, Victor. Tell our Congresswoman we really do appreciate everything that she's doing for us all.
Absolutely. Enjoy your Easter.
Oh, thank you. Okay, next, Assembly Member Yulang Yu. Shivani, are you here? Shivani? Does anyone see her in the? No?
She's not in the attendee
No.
list.
Somebody else was here, though.
Okay. All right, is there anyone here representing our Assemblywoman Elaine Yu? Is this James Lau? Are you here to represent Elaine? Can you put it in the chat, please?
I promoted him to panelist.
Hello, everybody. Yes, I'm here for Assemblymember Yulene News Office. I want to begin first by expressing our team's deep shock and support for the victims of Boulder, Colorado, as well as the victims in Atlanta whose lives were senselessly taken away by a gunman. We must also acknowledge that the rising tide of anti-Asian violence and harassment is not a new phenomenon. Anti-Asian sentiments did not begin when COVID-19 arrived in our communities, and it will not end when COVID-19 has been beaten. Elaine remains a leading voice calling for substantive action to address anti-Asian violence. In a recent budget speech this week, Elaine actually noted that New York's proposed budget does not include a single dollar of dedicated spending on anti-AAPI hate initiatives, even though constituents of our 65th Assembly District and across New York State are verbally abused and even physically attacked outside of their homes. Our Assembly member will continue to speak on these issues as we fight to build communities safe for all New Yorkers, regardless of their race or ethnic heritage. The Assembly member has also called for increasing support for the Excluded Workers Fund, which the One House budget funds, with $2.1 billion in order to assist those unemployed due to the pandemic. Elaine will continue to push the Assembly to fund the EWF at the full $3.5 billion level. In the fight to fund CDFIs, Elaine has also been working towards that goal, reminding legislators that community-based nonprofit lending organizations actually create opportunities in marginalized communities, often overlooked by larger megabanks. For every public dollar we invest, CDFIs generate between $12 and $20 of economic activity, which are crucial for the development initiatives and financial services in these underserved neighborhoods. Within a 2-month period in the year 2020, 302 CDFIs made over 106,000 Paycheck Protection Program loans, which totaled over $7.4 billion to struggling small businesses in minority and low-income communities. By comparison, the mega bank JP Morgan and Chase, which is over 9 times the size of the entire CDFI industry, made only roughly 4 times as many total PPP loans, with proportionally fewer going to our low-income communities. Elaine was also honored to attend the Invest in Our New York Town Hall, which offered progressive solutions to fixing many of the holes in the proposed executive budget. Their proposals offer a means to raise the $50 billion deficit in order to protect our essential public services, including education, job training, housing, and healthcare. Invest in Our New York proposes a progressive income tax and a series of wealth taxes against Wall Street and mega corporations that will properly fund the programs that foster a stronger middle class and provide economic mobility for those fighting to improve their lives and the lives of their families. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions for our Assemblywoman Elaine? Okay, thank you again. Have a good night. And is there, no hands. Okay, great. We're gonna move on now to our next speaker. Let's see, Deborah Glick. Charlie, I see you. Go ahead.
Hi, good evening. Thank you, Alicia. Charlie Anderson from Assemblymember Deborah Glick's office. We have a couple updates. Much is going on in Albany at the moment in the legislature, in addition to a myriad of other things. It is also budget month. Next month, we'll have, as we usually do every April, a fuller update for folks regarding budget negotiations that have happened, especially regarding in relation to higher education funding, because that is the Assembly Members Committee. However, we wanted to update folks that the Assembly member was a co-sponsor on the 3 landmark bills regarding nursing home protections. She, along with many others in the majority, supported those legislations so much so that she put her name on that. In addition, the Assembly member was a multi-sponsor on the HALT solitary confinement bill, restricting solitary confinement usage in New York State. And so we have that in our board report, which I hope I got in time to be sent out to members. If not, at the end of this month, we'll also have all this within our update email that we send on a regular basis. Last month, the Assembly member also spoke on removing some of the governor's powers regarding COVID and the pandemic. She spoke a little bit on that when she was here, I believe in January, because that had already come up. But we included a longer statement, not a huge statement, but a bit longer statement about her views are also in our board report, and we'll include that in our email at the end of the month as well. One other thing I just wanted to bring up, I spoke on this last month, but wanted to remind folks that the shuttered venue grants through the United States SBA, a lot of funding that came in at the end of the year last year for small theaters or other venues within the district or within CB3 can be eligible. If they were in operation in late February 2020, they can potentially have 45% of their losses reimbursed through a grant from the federal government. We have a little bit of information there. Encourage folks to go to the SBA website and look at that. We've contacted a number of folks that are within our section of CB3, but as you all know, or many of you know, I'm sure that we have a smaller sliver than some of my colleagues in CB3. So if there are other places in CB3 that need that information, please forward that to them. That's it from me for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie. Any questions for Charlie? Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay. Next we have, let's see, Harvey was here already. Auda, do you have anything you wanted to add into Harvey's report? Was there anything specific? No?
I just put the report in the chat.
Okay. Thank you so much. All right. Chantel from Brian Kavanaugh's office, from our state senator Brian Kavanaugh's office. Chantel, I saw you.
Hi, everyone. This is Chantel. Much like Charlie mentioned, the Senate is also in the middle of final budget negotiations. The one House budget was released last week, and it includes much needed funding for our COVID-19 Emergency Rental Assistance Program, also referred to as CRAP, our Housing Access Voucher Program, also known as HAVP, public housing generally, the Environmental Bond Act, and of course, the much needed commercial rent relief. We also recently introduced and passed a bill, only in the Senate for now, that would require hospitals and nursing homes to develop a stewardship plan to prevent the overuse of antibiotics, as that has caused antibiotic resistance among the population. The senator has joined 58 of his Democratic Senate and Assembly colleagues in calling for the resignation of Governor Cuomo. And in the meantime, the Attorney General is conducting that investigation. The senator himself, with the opening of and the expanding of the COVID vaccine eligibility, was able to get his vaccine on Friday. And we are continuing to encourage and uplift and amplify all of the needs expressed on the call today, as we also sit on the vaccine task force, and thank the borough president for that platform to learn more. And then locally, as Senator Hoylman mentioned earlier, we wrote a letter jointly in support of saving the Track House and Tennis Comfort Center, and we also included CB3's resolution in favor of the preservation as well, to really make sure that the community sentiment is reflected. And we will be hosting a youth policy council this spring for students in grades 9 through 12 who live or attend in the district. Our first session is going to be Thursday, and we're a little light on enrollment, so I'm going to drop the link to the chat, the link to the form in the chat, and if you could amplify that for any of the youth that are interested, please do so. We're looking to have a really representative group. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me.
Any questions for Chantel? No? Thank you so much. Okay. Next, we have our council member, Margaret Chen's office. Kana?
Hello. Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you for your time. Some quick community updates. We're still operating our community first food pantry, which we started in April last year to respond to increased demand. And last Thursday, we delivered 200 boxes of food and 1,000 face masks to LES 1 and 100 boxes of food to 275 Cherry and 275 South Street residents. And if you know of any building or if your building is interested in getting deliveries, please contact me. I'll put my email in the chat. Another reminder, despite the warmer weather, property owners must be sending heat to apartments until May 31st. So if you feel that isn't happening in your building, let me know. There will be a state-run vaccine pop-up at Confucius Plaza with CCBA this weekend, and I will post more details on Margaret's social when we have everything ironed out. For some legislative updates, last stated, we were very excited to pass Introduction 874, and this is a bill that mandates that DOHMH and DOB work together most efficiently to swab construction areas in residential buildings for lead, dust, or any contamination. It also makes it easier to hold landlords accountable if there is lead detected, and lead poisoning can cause irreversible damage. So we were really excited to see that pass and thank the housing and tenant advocates for their work. As on hate crimes, as everyone is aware, the uptick against the Asian American Pacific Islander community has been really, really difficult and troubling in an emotional time. So our office has been working with Councilmember Koo on legislation that will make it easier to report hate crimes. And from our office, we're just traumatized and very, very saddened by that. So we share everyone's grief. And in the span of just a few days, there have been those two horrific mass shootings, and it's a symptom of the chronic problem we have with gun control in our country. So Margaret is advocating and pushing our colleagues in the federal government as much as we can to pass real gun reform. And we're drafting resolutions in support of some of the newly introduced legislation on background checks specifically. And two quick budget updates. So all capital applications to the City Council are due this Thursday. So 2 days, the 25th by 5 p.m. and it's an OMB deadline, so no late applications will be accepted. And Margaret has chaired her aging committee preliminary budget hearing. We had a very great, successful budget hearing. We asked questions to Commissioner Lorraine about home delivered meal expansion and demanding funding that was promised to some of our aging nonprofit providers. And Margaret is fighting to see certain things in the budget, such as Sonic and the newly created Office of Street Vendor Enforcement fully funded. That's it for me.
Okay, I saw one hand from Val. Val, go ahead.
Yeah, what is this called? Planning Together, a new comprehensive planning framework for New York City. At the Borough Board meeting, I think somebody from one of the other community boards shared the fact that they were planning to really work on this coming up. So I just was wondering what was kind of the timeline, or if you know what the timeline is for this.
The mayoral report about policing?
No, it's about planning together. It's really a framework, really for the I guess the coastline.
Oh, I don't know about that, but I'm happy to. Here, let me put my email in the chat first. How do I do that? And then I will reach out to you, okay?
Okay. You know what I'm gonna do? Senior citizen here. I will contact Patricia Olin tomorrow and get
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, she'll be happy.
Okay, thank you. Maylee, I saw your hand. Go ahead.
Hi. I have a question about the pop-up site at Confucius, the vaccine pop-up site. You're working with CCBA, is that correct?
Yep.
Yeah, so are you taking appointments from other CBOs in the area for,
I'm not
a few
sure.
others?
Yeah, so like I said, I don't have all the details yet, and I'll post it on Margaret's social when we find out probably tomorrow. But I will, if you give your number in the chat, then I can reach out to you tomorrow.
Put my number in the
Or
chat.
GM me on Zoom.
I'm sorry? I'll send it to you directly on this thing. Okay. I will do that.
Okay.
I can put mine in the chat. I know how to do that.
Okay, sorry, Val. Our last elected official tonight from Council Member Carlina Rivera's office, Isabel.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I have a few quick updates, but first I just wanted to echo what so many have shared and acknowledge the horrifying and devastating acts of violence we've seen across the country, especially against Asian communities, also in New York City. And while Councilmember Rivera has attended rallies and will continue to show solidarity, we also are going to be working actively to fund more Asian community-based organizations, supporting and centering race and equity in our school curriculum across the city, and expanding access to bystander intervention training. And then, of course, we will continue working on passing legislation and providing resources to workers in industries that employ immigrant Asian women, such as salons. So in addition to our work on that front, I wanted to update you all, in case you know of anyone at Vladeck Houses who's been experiencing heat or hot water outages. We've been working around the clock for multiple weeks now in advocating for restoration for many seniors who have been experiencing days, weeks, and some even months of outages. And this is obviously unacceptable at any point. We have heard some good news that for many, there's been building-wide restoration, but if you hear of anyone experiencing any challenges, please don't hesitate to let us know. And as mentioned by many, with the new eligibility requirements for the vaccine, 50 and up, in addition to the incredible resources around the community, please also know that our office is working to help folks make appointments to get as many in-district, in our community pop-up sites. And then last but not least, I will drop in the chat for those of you who are interested. We had a ranked choice voting information kind of webinar on the Councilwoman's Facebook page last week. It was really helpful for me, and it is available at any time to watch on Facebook. You don't have to have an account. So I will drop that in the chat. Thank you so much. Let me know if anyone has any questions, and great to see you all.
Any questions for our council member Isabel? Okay, thank you, Isabel. Appreciate you. Hope you feel better. Okay, let's see. All right, that concludes our elected officials reports for this evening. And now we're going to move to our roll call and approval of minutes for January 2021. Thank you. Eric?
Okay. David Adams.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yaron Altman.
Yes.
Jesse Beck.
Yes.
Dominic Berg.
Yes.
Lee Berman.
Yes.
Carlin Chan. Carlin.
Carlin muted himself. I don't, come back to him. Come back to him.
David Crane.
Yes.
Felicia Cruikshank. Felicia?
Felicia was here. Where'd she go? It's here. Felicia,
Yes.
unmute.
All right. I'll come back. Eric Diaz, yes. Alistar Akanamakis.
Eric, Jonathan said he got skipped.
Jonathan Chu.
Yes.
Sorry, Alistar Akanamakis. Okay, no. Shirley
Carlin is here now.
Carlin Chan.
Well, what's up?
You need to vote.
Roll call.
Yes.
Shirley Fennessy. Shirley Fennessy.
Not here tonight.
Ryan Gilliam.
Yes.
Deborah Glass.
Deborah's not here tonight either. Go ahead.
Andrea Gordillo.
Yes.
Herman Hewitt. No Herman? Herman Hewitt.
Not here.
Trevor Holland.
Yes.
Linda Jones.
Yes.
Okay. Valentina Jones.
Yes.
Tatiana Jurio.
Yes.
Lisa Kaplan.
Yes.
Olympia Kazi.
Yes.
Joseph Kearns. Joseph Kearns.
Not here.
Michelle Coopersmith.
Yes.
May Lee.
Yes.
Wendy Lee. Wendy.
Not here.
Alicia Lewis Coleman.
Yes.
David Louis.
Yes.
Okay. Ellen Lou. Ellen.
Not here.
Michael Marino.
Yes.
Okay. Alexandra Militano.
Not here.
Okay. Michael Perlis.
Yes.
Tariq Ramos.
Yes.
Got you, Paul Rangel. Paul.
No Paul.
Damaris Reyes.
Yes.
Got you. Richard Ropiak.
Yes.
Thomas Rosa.
Yes.
Robin Chattel.
Yes.
Heidi Schmidt.
Yes.
Larissa Scheinberg.
Yes.
Anisha Stephen.
Yes.
Sandra Strother.
Yes.
Josephine Velez.
Yes.
Troy Velez.
Yes.
Rodney Washington.
Yes.
Kathleen Webster.
Yes.
Jackie Wong.
Yes.
And Ricky Wong.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you, Eric. Okay, so we have a special election tonight. You've gotten emails today from both myself and also from Michelle Coopersmith.
Not yet.
Oh, not yet. Okay, so now Michelle is going to explain what you're about to get and how you're about to fill it out and send it back to her. Go ahead, Michelle.
Thanks, Alicia. As Alicia mentioned, and as she mentioned in her email earlier, we are having a special election for the treasurer. Tonight, I am stepping in for Paul Rangel, who is not here this evening to administer this. This will be run just like our past two elections during Zoom times. I will send every member an email with a Google form link, which is the ballot after the candidates speak. Please submit your votes expediently so that we can count them during the meeting. And also, as Alicia's email said, you must have been present at the first roll call vote for your vote to count. So Eric, that's a reminder, if you could send me the roll call once you're done. And if you have any questions, please email me or call me. My phone number will be in the email, and you can just reply to that email if you have any issues. If you don't get it, just message me on the chat here. Thanks.
Thanks, Michelle. So everyone, check your emails and go ahead and vote. I'm going to give you a few minutes to do so.
Wait, Alicia, are you going to announce who the candidates are?
Oh, I'm sorry. I should announce who the candidates are. Apologies. Okay, so there are two candidates you're voting for tonight. one being Sandra Struther, and the other is David Crane. I encourage you all to just do your best. That's it. That's what else can I say?
Do we get 2 minutes to speak? No.
What's
One
the
time.
position? It's the treasurer's position. I mean, it really, like, I mean, we've expressed it before. The treasurer's position is basically a technicality that's on our executive committee. Really doesn't hold a lot of responsibilities, except to report our, actually, the Friends of, and of CB3, and periodically you give a report, but that's about it. It's not very much, but we do need you as another voice on the executive board. You are a voting member on the executive board. So I see a hand. May Lee, is this a question? What's going on? May, you have a question, and Olympia,
Yeah.
you have a question? Go
Well,
ahead.
my question is, did you email out the ballot yet? I mean, I got the sample, but not the
No.
actual.
I'm sending it out when the candidates are done speaking.
Yeah, she just made that announcement that she hasn't sent it out yet.
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
Olympia, is there a question?
Yes, I mean, since we need to choose one of the two candidates, and they
Yes.
are here and they offer to give 2 minutes of, maybe
Sure.
they have a vision and they're gonna anyway be serving on the executive, so that's an important role anyway. And so I move to allow them to each present themselves.
Well, it wasn't really a vote, but it's okay.
We need to choose one of the two according to Michelle,
Okay,
no?
sure, but it really wasn't a vote. I mean, I can go ahead and allow that. That's no problem. Thank you, Olympia. So Sandra, since you are there first, go ahead. You can speak. I'll give you 2 minutes. If you would like the 2-minute clock.
If
Can we allow-
if you'll give me a second, I'll put the
Yes.
clock up
Please, thank you.
and we can go ahead. Okay.
Go ahead, Sandra.
Ready? Okay. As you know, my name is Sandra Strother. I've been a member of the board for 5 years. I sit on Landmarks Committee and NYCHA Section 8. A little about me. I'm born on the street that I live. For 25 years, I worked as a word processor for several major law firms. I have a degree in criminal justice, literature of the law, humanities and justice, history, writing from John Jay College of Criminal Justice. I'm a coordinator for the Board of Elections for 13 years. I'm a member of the County Committee for the 65th Assembly District. I'm also a member of the Lower East Side Power Partnership. Lastly, and most importantly, I'm the president of the Grand Street Guild Residents Association, excuse my voice, where I strive to improve, enhance, and protect the quality of lives of 600 families. I work in partnership with Vision Urbana through my fellow board members, Eric Diaz and Rodney Washington. And I'm proud to say today marks 56 consecutive weeks during COVID that we've been feeding my residents. Also getting the vaccines at Seward Park. With respect to the position of treasurer, we learned recently that the position doesn't have much to do because CB3 doesn't have much money. However, being treasurer gives one a voice at the executive committee. So as we know, the executive committee meetings, although public, are private discussions where the policies, practices, protocols, and procedures are put in place for the entire board. With that, if elected, I'm offering to be an additional voice for any board member who has any questions, comments, or concerns to put forth before the executive committee. Also, please know that I attend most of the meetings in the past year, so an extra meeting won't be much for me. Laugh out loud. Thank you very much. Done.
Okay, thank you, Sandra. Does anyone have a question for Sandra? Anyone want to say anything to support Sandra? Okay, thank you, Sandra. Next, we have David Crane. Go ahead, David, 2 minutes.
Someone else speaking? Okay. Hello, I'm David Crane. I think most people know me. I've been on the board a while. I currently am on the ESLA committee, the Transportation and Public Safety Committee, and then also the Human Services, et cetera, committee. I'm going to be probably, if you were to select me as treasurer, I'm going to probably have to stop attending one of those meetings. I think it's going to be Human Services, which was my first committee that I ever joined. My major motivation on the board really is to make sure that things are running smoothly, to make sure that people have a voice. I know a lot of the processes that the board participates in, with the city, of course, as well as our own processes. And I'm pretty good at making sure things run smoothly. That is really what I'm going to dedicate my time to as treasurer. Thank you.
Okay. Any questions for David? Okay. There being none, Michelle, I think you can go ahead and send out the ballots.
Okay, thanks, Alicia. I'm sending it to everyone now. If you do not get it, please just chat me, or I just don't want to say my email address here in front of everyone, but just chat me and I'll get in contact with you, okay?
And also, if you're calling on the telephone rather than being on a Zoom on a computer, please let Michelle know as well.
Okay, Alicia, you should proceed with the meeting because this is going to take a while. So
I'm definitely doing that.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next we're going to go into our board chair's report. So wow. Where do I say, how do I say this? I have grown up on the Lower East Side, and I've always been very proud of my community and being at it being very diverse. And living down here has always been just like, for a lot of my family members, them being Southerners, a lot of them did not know what it was like to come up in my community, and how come I love various types of foods and they couldn't understand it. And it was because we're so richly blessed to live in a community that's so diverse, and having Asian brothers and sisters that I can actually go to their homes and sit down and have a meal with, and actually have a conversation with, and learn from their culture and attend their weddings and funerals. And all of that is, I'm saying all of this to say, as a woman of color, as a Black woman, as an African-American woman, today I stand in solidarity with my Asian brothers and sisters, knowing that their battle is our battle. It's not just my battle, it's their battle. It's all of our battles. If we live here in this community, on this planet, we should all be very conscious about the violence that's currently going on and has been going on for quite a while. I mean, someone pointed out to me that Asians they were hung. There were major hangings of many of the Asians in this country. So I just want to say, please join forces with our brothers and sisters that are going through this time of unrest right now. And so, yeah. Okay, so now I want to announce Andrea Gardello as our new Arts and Cultural Subcommittee Chair. I thank her so much for her offering to step up as a subcommittee chair for us. Arts and Culture will not be meeting, Arts and Culture will be meeting at the beginning of April, where normally Economic Development meets this month for the month of April. They will be meeting in place of Economic Development because there is nothing on the agenda for them. And Anisha will elaborate later in her report. We have an offer for Manhattan Neighborhood Network for some interviews about culture, concerns, needs of the district. And if anyone is interested in participating in that, they wanted people to give like a 2-minute Zoom, I guess, of what you believe the needs of the community are, or if you feel as though you want to share something about the cultural concerns, you can reach out to me and I can send your name to them and they'll reach back to you. if you haven't received an email from them already. So again, our borough president did announce that there are some trainings going on. And I encourage all of our full board members to attend. I attended one. It was very informative, actually. I really enjoyed it. And it talked about being a Muslim in America and the discrimination of our Muslim brothers and sisters and what they face as well. So really, really great. And I encourage you, some of the meetings are exactly 1 hour, which was good. I had an hour to spare, so I could do that while I was at work a little bit. And so if you want to be a part of that, make sure you sign on to the link. I believe they sent you a link. And some of the meetings are at night as well. And also, if you, like I announced last month, if you have any questions for the vaccine task force, you can email me and I will definitely address your questions to them. But also I see that tonight Gail opened up, so you can attend if you'd like to attend. You can ask them to send you the link and get your name put there. And so you can join on board and give your questions to the task force. Yes, I see a hand, Robin.
Yeah, Alicia, I still have, every time I write to you, it still goes to Jamie Rogers in my email. I'm just making sure that's you, Chair, right?
It's me.
I don't know why it has that. Okay, that's all.
Because all of the chairs that were before me, they have the same email address. It doesn't change. What changes is just our response. That's it. So you could definitely, how about we talk offline? Okay, Robin? But you can always call me too, Okay, that concludes my report. I see Olympia has a hand. Go ahead, Olympia.
Thank you, Alicia. So is there any update about what we discussed in previous meetings about having a meeting at CB3 to discuss all the turmoil and the tension and all the difficulties that we're going through?
So, so this is really interesting. So we are, Michael and I were entering into mediation with an organization called Oath, but I don't want to speak for him. I will speak for myself. I know that we are waiting as a request. We were waiting to go back into meeting with them. And I do believe that I will suggest also that any board member that is interested in participating in that particular type of meeting, which I think that it should have been everyone anyway, to participate in a mediation. I do believe there is just way too much tension on this community board, and I don't even know where to begin, but I just know that I'd like for us to really try and settle things in an orderly way, and stop all the division. Yeah.
Just to clarify, I was not referring to Michael. There are a lot of issues that are not working.
No, I know. I'm not just referring only to Michael,
And
but
I think Kay and I in previous meeting had pleaded with you to create some sort of, safe space, workshop, whatever you want to call it, in which we can try to address this, because it has been going for a while and it is very disheartening and it is alienating a lot of people.
So Olympia, anything that we do has to be open to the public unless we go into executive session. So, and that is during executive meeting, if I'm not mistaken. So if we were to have some type of forum like this, we would have to allow the public to also listen in on whatever we're discussing. And so I will talk to the executive committee and see how we can create something like this. If you'd like to give me some details about this, you can email it to me. Thank you so much. Michael, I see your hand.
Yeah, no, I will say I didn't realize that the mediation was a public topic, but I'm fine with it being a public topic. But I did reach out to them last week to let them know that I am ready, willing, and able. So I think they were going to be reaching out to you. So I think
Great.
you're back.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yep. Okay. That concludes my report. Now we'll go on to Susan's report, our district manager. Thank you.
Thank you. First, the news, big news today is that city offices are opening May 3rd, which includes community board offices. I don't know what it means yet. I assume we will still have even our interagency meetings on Zoom, but we will be working in the office. I also want to mention there's been a lot of attention to issues around Avenue C and 3rd Street regarding some of the drug dealing, because there was a murder there of a drug dealer. So there's been a lot of meetings about it. The police have reported that they've put a lot of extra police there. That has seemed to displace most of the dealing, but it seems to have just displaced it to Houston Street. It certainly doesn't seem to be a real answer. So I'm just giving sort of an update on the status of that. Another issue that has caused a tremendous amount of complaints is the illegal vending at 14th Street and First Avenue. That's been going on probably a year now. Seems to get worse, not better. Took a long time to get action on it. The police have now, and a number of elected officials' offices, and certainly the council office, have been dealing with this a lot. So the police have now reached out to Department of Consumer Affairs, and just tonight copied us on a request for joint operation. And they've given a report on the number of vendors without licenses. I don't know, I cannot understand why this is so difficult to deal with. You know, a lot of issues I understand are not black and white, but this one I don't understand. I just also want to announce our Zoom contract ends this month, and the 12 Manhattan Community Boards were quite concerned on how to deal with it, because we thought we were going to be taking over the contracts individually from the borough president's office, which meant that a lot of what you get with the contract, such as transcriptions, would be lost. And I want to really thank the borough president's office. They have now decided that they will take over the contract for another year. So it's incredibly appreciated, both for the money and for the ability to have the enhanced type of contract. In general, we're getting a high level number of complaints for the reasons that you would imagine. Some, and I wrote this before I heard the complaints, are like lights and park issues that can take a while, but they can be followed up and resolved. But in many cases, for a lot of the issues, particularly regarding enforcement, it is almost impossible to follow up with city agencies. And I want to say that there is also really continued enforcement from some agencies towards small businesses that are totally, completely unfounded. I can't understand it at all. It's very good to let our office know when this happens, because we do like to specifically point it out to the agency and also try and help the business. I'll give you an example of one particular problem that's happening a lot. Is Department of Business Buildings inspector will go into a restaurant and ask to see the COVID logs, but they're asking a worker who may be washing the floors or something like that, who may not speak English, who has no responsibility for the logs, can't produce them, and then the business will get $1,000 fine. And even though they'd have the logs, it's not that they don't have the logs. I know this is happening in Chinatown a lot. It's also happening on the Lower East Side. So I will continue to try and work with businesses and at least making this public. And that's it, unless there's questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Susan. Now we're going to move into our committee reports. Health and Human Services, Maylee.
Okay, so this month we don't have anything for you to vote upon. But next, I just wanted to make some announcements. So first of all, we will be having a parent resource fair on May 4th. It'll be at 5 o'clock. We're co-sponsoring it with this Citywide Education Council, District 1. The focus of the fair will be for parents who have children with IEPs or some kind of learning disability. And so yeah, it'll be on Zoom, and when we have the flyer and the information, we will send it out to everyone. And then also for next month at our, so that is in May, that's in 2 months, it's not next month. But for next month, we will be having our April meeting, and we will, well, all those education issues me and Susan were alluding to before, it's tentatively on our agenda, but we are going to work on it in the next few days to figure out what it is, since there's like so much new news coming every day. And then next month, we'll also be doing more of our committee goals planning. And that's all I have for now. Just about hate crimes too. We may bring that in May. The Mayor's Office of Hate Crimes actually have been, I guess, reaching out about doing presentations. So they did reach out to us and we asked them to come in April, but they said they weren't available. So we're trying to get them in May and see who else we also can invite in May for this particular topic, which is, as you know, really, really important right now. It's been around a long time, but just all these things that have happened have just highlighted the problem. So that's the end of my report, unless somebody has questions.
I don't see any hands, May. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Okay, next we have SLA. Michelle, are you ready? Or would you like us to come back?
Sure, I can go.
Okay, go ahead.
So this month we had 5 items. All of the applicants signed their stipulations, and next month we, as of now, have 16 items, so it will be 2 meetings. Any questions from anyone about any board members? Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next we have Landmark. Linda. Linda, you're muted.
I think you're getting to me out of sequence.
Oh.
I'll catch up. Landmarks Committee had one resolution. We supported a request for evaluation from Village Preservation and LESB and the East Village Community Coalition. The request for evaluation was for 88 East 10th Street. The Landmarks Commission had previously turned them down. I don't know if everybody knows how this works, but if any member of the community or any organization wants the Landmarks Commission to designate a landmark, the beginning of that process is a request for evaluation. Once that RFE goes to Landmarks Commission, they can turn it down, and they did. So the Village Preservation surfaced a lot more information about the building, and they resubmitted the RFE, and we supported it. Any questions, Lisa?
Yeah, there was on the agenda a discussion about merging your committee with Arts and Culture. I take it that the decision has been not to do that. Is that correct?
That's what I hear.
Could someone confirm that, Alicia or someone?
Alicia would be best to confirm that.
Yeah.
Alicia?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that one more time, Lisa?
Yeah, there was an item on the agenda to coalesce the Arts and Culture Subcommittee with the Landmarks Committee. I take it by the fact that Ms. Gordillo is now the chair of the subcommittee, that is not happening. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have land use. I'm sorry, yes, land use, Jackie.
Hi. Land use had two results. The first one is for the comprehensive planning proposed by the City Council. So the committee liked the idea of having a comprehensive plan for New York City in general, but we also think that a lot of the process problem needs to be addressed first. So we gave 15 comments about the bill and asked the council to come up with an improved plan for further discussion. And the second result is about the Brassetti Plaza in East Village. So this one was recommended to us by the NYCHA subcommittee. The result was in reaction to NYCHA's lack of funding for the local law 11 facade repair at Brassetti, which results in scaffolding being put up there indefinitely. The scaffolding has become a safety hazard for the Brassetti's residents because it draws crimes and include a recent murder case that Susan just mentioned a little bit earlier in her manager's report. So we asked the comptroller's office to help raise the money needed for this facade repair work by selling the municipal bonds. And also in late February and early March, we did two housing workshops. As I mentioned in the last full board meeting, one for small properties owners, one for tenants. The tenants one was in partnership with GOES and CAF, HPD, and also with the help from two council members' offices. And that's all I have for the month.
Okay, thank you, Jackie. Olympia has a question.
If you read the chat, my hand was up for arts and culture because you said earlier at your introduction that Anissa was going to speak about it, and then you skipped directly from Linda to Jackie. So I don't have a question for Jackie. My hand was up for arts and culture.
Okay. We didn't get to Anisha yet. Anisha is economic development, which is after transportation.
Yeah, in the agenda that Edwin sent, it was talking about arts and culture and landmarks together, but it's definitely cool to talk later.
I mean, so arts and culture met with landmarks to discuss if merging the committee made sense from both committees' perspective, and from both committees' perspective, it did not make sense. So that really was all that came out of the meeting. I think I can add more to sort of what really that economic development is not going to meet and arts and culture will meet for April. That's what I was going to say in economic development. So
yeah, can we, Anisha, I don't want to get off track. So Olympia, I'm just going to ask that you please bear with us while we go down the agenda, okay? And then you can ask Anisha if you have, is there something specific that you need to ask Anisha at this time? Okay, great. All right, so let's go back. Landmark is over, land use is finished with his report. Transportation, Michelle, are you making the report tonight for Paul?
Yes. So there's only one resolution this month. The committee passed a resolution asking DOT to look at ways to increase safety and traffic calming measures on Canal Street. Community boards 1 and 2 have already passed very similar resolutions, actually more than a year ago. And we also had an update about the issue that Susan talked about around 3rd and B, about the public safety issues. And we also discussed, we had some feedback from community groups about outdoor dining, specifically in Chinatown, but we did not promulgate a resolution from there. Any questions from board members? I see Lisa Kaplan's hand up. Lisa, is about transportation?
Yes. It's the second to last be it further resolved clause. it says that we want there to be seating just east of the bridge on Canal Street. East of the bridge would be Brooklyn, I think. So maybe we want to change that to west of the bridge, I think. Just a little typo.
Just look. So I think actually it's purposely east of the bridge because east of the bridge is the Lower East Side, not like on the east side of the bridge.
Well, it says east of the bridge.
And Lisa,
Right.
what,
Maybe you mean east of the entrance to the bridge.
Correct. Like, so like Canal Street, you know, goes
No, that
east
would
of the
be
Manhattan
west
Bridge.
of the entrance of the bridge.
No.
No, that's east because it's towards the East River. Like on the east, like so the you know the Manhattan Bridge goes like this and Canal Street goes like this. So it's on this side. I know I'm backwards, but that was what the
Can I
intention
jump
was.
in? The East River is actually to the south. Generally, I mean, it depends where you are in the neighborhood. You can't use that as a direction finder.
Okay, sorry. So the misnomer of East River, it's not actually east, but this is, I should just say also that we basically use the resolution that the other community boards passed. So
It's pretty unclear what you're talking about then.
Lisa, if I could interrupt, which whereas was that? I want to pull it up on the screen so everyone can take a look.
The second to last, be it further resolved.
Thank you.
Yeah, keep going. There's a lot of them
Wow, yeah.
there.
Okay, there we go.
well, so it's definitely not west of the bridge.
As someone who
It is
south
exactly
lives
to the
and live
west.
in that area,
It's
there's
west
a-
of the
It's
bridge.
to the west of the bridge.
Canal Street runs
it
almost
really does
directly east
not
to
mean
west.
to the west of the bridge, Lisa. You know
Well,
how
what-
Canal Street continues east beyond the Williamsburg Bridge?
Okay.
But we're talking about
Yeah.
Say
the
east of-
Manhattan Bridge.
Yeah, excuse me, beyond the Manhattan Bridge. Canal Street continues on. That's east of the entrance to the bridge.
Interesting. So which section do we mean? Do we mean
That's
the
what we mean. We
heavily
mean east of
trafficked
the
section?
bridge.
So you mean the
it's like
lightly
where
trafficked?
I mean, by
like the
the
side where there, like if anyone's familiar with it, when you come off the Manhattan Bridge where the bikes come off, there's like that kind of cement area just at the bottom of the bridge. That is east of the exit, I guess we could say, of the bridge. That's what we mean by east of the bridge.
Right.
I mean,
So
from
it-
my understanding.
maybe you should give the cross street.
yeah, I believe that would be helpful. Lisa,
Susan,
as
is there anything
Lisa's
that you can
correct.
chime in here? Because you were the one who dealt with the original resolution.
Why am I, it's like,
Christie?
Susan.
yeah, it's like Christie Street, yeah.
And Forsyth's the next one over, but it is Christie, that's the closest.
Yeah.
Christie comes after Bowery.
Okay, so.
Yeah, that's exactly right, because you go down Christie on the bike lane, yeah.
Right, that's what yeah. So that's the part that I
That's what we
need.
should say.
Susan was away from her computer. She's back.
Oh, okay. I think we figured it out, but I was just asking Susan because she was the one who dealt with the original resolution that we got as a template from the other community boards. But if we're okay, okay, so I move to make a friendly amendment to add,
It was actually from Transportation Alternatives.
oh, okay. Well, but I think that they use a template that they use from the other places. So
It's the same template, but they had, I don't know whether or not that was in
Okay.
the one for CV 1 and 2.
okay, okay. So then I'm gonna move to make a friendly amendment so on Canal Street near Christie Street
Yeah,
to provide more
Yeah.
people-friendly spaces.
Perfect.
Does that work?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, very nice.
What about, is it really near, or can we say between Essex and Forsyth, or between Essex and
No,
Christie?
it would be between Christie and Bowery, probably. At the bottom of SDR Park.
Yeah,
So they really do mean absolutely at the exit. Okay.
I mean, also I should just say that this is a request for DOT to study something. It's not like actually happening, obviously. So what could we just say near on Canal Street, like adjacent to Christie Street? Can we just say that?
Yes, you could easily say that. It's
Okay,
close.
so
I
any,
agree.
okay, so any, okay, okay, so I'm going to make that motion for the friendly amendment. Any opposition to that friendly amendment? Okay, Eric, if you don't mind adding that to the resolution. So instead of saying on Canal Street east of the bridge, say on Canal Street adjacent to Christie Street, please. You got it, Eric? I'm putting it in the chat. Okay, any other questions? Okay, great. And we have almost all of our votes in. There's one person, I think you know who you are. Please get your vote in if you want to be counted. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Okay, next is economic development. Anisha.
Thank you. So we have one resolution for tonight. It is sort of an accumulation of what we've heard from industry proposals over the past few months to help small businesses during this time. So I'll stop there and take any questions on the specific resolution.
Any questions on the resolution?
Cool. Well, we are, as Alicia mentioned earlier in her report, we're not going to be meeting in April. Part of that is to allow arts and culture, which is a subcommittee of economic development, to have a chance to meet again and continue their work and let Andrea lead that committee. And then economic development will resume again in May, and we will, go back to talking about recovery efforts for the economic development industry as a whole.
Now, Olympia had a question. Olympia, would you like to share your question now?
Yes, of course. And my question is actually not to Anisha. It is about arts and culture, and it is directly to you, Alicia, as the chair. As you know, I have been a member of the Arts and Culture Subcommittee for more than 2 years, and I've been advocating for arts and culture overall for our district. And it has been extremely disheartening trying to work with you on this subject. I feel that you have sent us in a wild goose chase for 3 years now. And it is unacceptable and truly disheartening that after all this work, we still found ourselves thrown over here and over there, meeting with that committee or this other committee. And now let's get economic development. Economic development is very important. It should not be skipping its calendar date because otherwise we cannot meet. Right? This is not second level issues, arts and culture. They're very important issues. So I want to make sure that you understand how very, disheartening has that been for us, for a lot of the members of the subcommittee, and also with the way we were treated. Why I'm using the word wild goose chase is we had a meeting 2 months ago now, 1 month ago, where we all raised the issue of education and how we felt this is a very important issue that is not getting enough attention, and how a lot of members currently serving in the subcommittee were interested in that subject. And the way it is sat down is with an email to everybody. After careful consideration, it doesn't make any sense. This is not democracy. This is not logic. This is very disheartening for very important issues. And so I want, to put it on the record that after all these years, this still remains a subcommittee that may or may not meet. And it is under economic development that frankly has not been working well, because the way we've set up our mission statement as it was passed in a resolution more than a year ago, it prioritized other issues. I look forward to hearing what you have to say on this issue.
Well, Olympia, yes, we have been meeting quite a bit, and you say for 3 years, yes, you sat on the subcommittee. I don't want to engage in a long conversation about this at our full board meeting as to hold people up around this discussion, but I will say this. Yes, we had lots of consideration. We looked at arts and cultural being under land use. I'm sorry,
Can you
landmark.
define who are the we?
I'm sorry, Anisha
Can
and
you-
myself,
can you-
Anisha and
okay.
myself.
Thank you.
And also having, Anisha has spoken to you, Olympia, myself, I've spoken with you. And I really, you know, what else can I tell you except for the fact that we really have looked over at and spoken to both the chairpersons of Human Services, with the education unit, the education part of Health and Human Services sit currently. And to remove education from, is what you requested, is to remove education out of Health and Human Services. Yeah, it could be ideal. However, who's going to chair it? Someone that has an educational background needs to chair that. Someone,
What do you
it
mean
would
by
have to
that?
be,
Sorry, it's every
looking
other
at it, I believe it should be an educator that would chair that committee. If we were to pull out Health and Human Services out of, education out of Health and Human Services, it would have to be chaired by someone that has an educational background, not just an arts background. I understand you may not agree with that, but that is what the conclusion was on that. And so we looked at, also looking at Landmark. Landmark would be a good place for arts and culture to go. However, you did not agree to that. You did not agree when we met. Am I correct? You said you didn't want to be there. You and several other of your committee
So
committee
other people
members
wanna go.
chose not to be under Landmark.
Sorry,
Yes?
because you misrepresent what we're discussing, but I see other people want to respond to you. Maybe they're going to say what I want to say.
Olympia, I'm chairing the meeting, so I'm going to ask you to please refrain. I'm trying to answer the question that you asked me.
I thought that you asked me a question, sorry.
Trevor?
I would prefer if we had these discussions elsewhere other than this type of meeting, especially the back and forth, which seems a little counterproductive. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Trevor. Carlin?
Yeah, just about the expertise to chair a committee. There is no precedent in CB3 to, let's say, a parks committee or the DLT committee for someone with vast experience in the field to chair that committee. I mean, we are community members, so I don't think you need an educator, a licensed educator to chair a committee on
They wanted
whatever
to
we were
become
talking
a
about.
whole committee by themselves. I don't think you really understand the background. Thank you, Carlin. Anisha?
I do understand it, and I kind of agree with that.
We're not
We
at
have
the meeting,
diverse
Carlin. You
issues in
don't
it.
understand what's going
Right.
on. There's been a lot of meetings around this. Thank you, Carlin. Anisha?
Robin had her hand up before me.
Go ahead, Robin.
Yeah, there has been a lot of discussions and changes with the Arts Committee, and I'm really happy that there's a new chair. I would have loved to have known that that was happening. And I know that, Alicia, that, you know, you have the discrepancy, you're allowed to choose who can lead committees and whatnot, but I think, you know, as a community board, it would be great to have, if there's more transparency about some of these things. And, you know, maybe it's not just up to the 6 or 5 people on a subcommittee, but maybe all of us need to decide. I don't know how that would happen, or the community should decide whether or not arts and culture should be a committee versus a subcommittee.
Robin, everything is on our agenda. Every month there's an agenda that goes up. You are sent the agenda and these items were discussed. The agenda was already there and arts and culture was put on the agenda several times. So you are always welcome to join committee meetings. We're not hiding it behind closed doors anywhere.
Well, I understand that. I'm just wondering, you know, we all can't be at every meeting. So I'm wondering.
I understand, but that's where all the work is done. I said it before, I'll say it again. All the work is done in committee. Thank you. Anisha?
So I just wanted to add a little bit more context to this. Economic development is not meeting because I don't have anything for the agenda for, there was nothing pressing for the agenda for April. It's not because arts needed to meet. And I also think that there will be changes to how arts and economic development will work together to address some of the needs that folks have brought up in the past. And, you know, for better or worse, there were lots and lots and lots of conversations, both with committee, both with like the exec committee, with different committee leadership across the board to figure out this. I think it's really hard to make these sort of bigger structural changes sometimes. And I think the goal is for arts and culture, because I'm someone who works in the arts and culture sector. I think we want it to have a voice and have it be, you know, everything that all of the members want it to be. And I think we're going to get there. There was a lot of stuff to figure out, and it made the most sense with Andrea being able to be chair of the subcommittee, and then to work again to make it, you know, potentially a full committee soon.
Thank you, Anisha. That is correct. No one is saying that this is chiseled in stone, that you're going to stay a subcommittee. Arts and culture is a very complicated, and yes, Olympia, it is very important. No one is dismissing that. Please understand that. I never dismissed it. I'm not disregarding it. Okay, Olympia, you have another question?
Yes, I want to clarify that what I'm talking, and today's is an example. I actually do not wish to have any more conversation about this issue privately, where one thing is said privately and then nothing is happening about it, or the opposite is happening in public. And that's why, Trevor, this is important that is discussed today, because there is a huge issue of trust loss in this community.
I would appreciate it if you leave my name out of it, Olympia. I just made a comment. I wouldn't use your name either.
No, but I'm using it to you because I'm answering to your issue that you raised. You thought that this is something we should have privately, but the reason we're discussing it publicly is because it needs to be discussed publicly. This has been a very frustrating process. And example, what you just said to Carlin, it requires a point of order. You said to him, you don't know the background, and you said to him that, yes, there needs to be someone with expertise on this issue for a committee. This is not the case across community boards. Any kind of chair can do that. And the issue is not who is the chair of the subcommittee, is that here we are after all the work and conversation of so many people. Many of them have quit the subcommittee because of the way it is treated in the past 3 years. And here we are again in a subcommittee in the same place with uncertainty of calendar and incapable of pursuing our agenda. So I want to make sure that everybody understands what is happening, and that you, Alicia, understand what you just said today, and that it is not, you know, actual. There is no requirement for this kind of expertise.
Olympia, it was about you and several other members wanting to move the educational portion from human services and make it a part of arts and culture. That's all I said. It's not about anything other than that. And again, what Trevor was saying was basically, we should not be having a back and forth about this at this moment. That is exactly what Trevor was saying. He did not say anything more than that, Olympia. Carlin?
Yeah, hi. I just want to make a quick comment. I find it deeply disturbing that you would dismiss my comment on this committee thing by saying that I have no idea what I'm talking about.
Carlin,
You know,
have you ever attended any arts and culture subcommittee meetings?
well, I'm just suggesting that there is no precedent. There is no precedent. Would you let me finish? I did not surrender the floor. Would you let me finish? I'm just saying there is no precedent for any expertise to be serving as a chair of any particular committee, and you're dismissing my comments as unfounded, and I have no idea what I'm talking about. I'm just making a simple comment. I find that very disturbing. I just want to put that on the record.
Thank you, Carlin. Anisha?
I just also wanted to add, because it will actually be discussed at the Arts Committee meeting, that, you know, we are changing the structure of economic development to accommodate arts and culture meeting before us. We're going to try to get arts and culture to be able to meet more frequently. All of those things that the committee brought up as, you know, hurdles to this committee being able to be effective, we're trying to work it out, or I'm trying to work it out. So just to say that, like, I am hearing everything that everybody is saying, and I do think we'll get there. I know that doesn't address your bigger issue, Olympia, which I also hear, but just to say that, like, I don't want you to feel like everything that you have talked about over the past few months is in vain. Like, I am actually trying to make changes here to make this work.
Thank you, Anisha, for clarification. And I just saw, yes, Kay, you're absolutely right. We can table this discussion. I think this is enough of the discussion for tonight about this topic. And we are going to move on to our last committee report, which is parks. Thank you.
Of course, no resolutions. We discussed other components of the waterfront. Are there any questions? I had a big old report, but nope. Any questions? I can answer questions about Pier 42, Pier 36, the upland portion, or BMCR. No questions? Thank you.
Okay, that concludes our reports. Now we will have a, Michelle, can you please share with us who the winner of the treasurer's position is?
Yes. Thank you, everyone voted. Thank you guys for doing that. We have 18 votes for David Crane and 17 votes for Sandra Strother.
Thank you very much. Congratulations, David. Thank you, Sandra, for your willingness to want to run for this position. Now, can we have a roll call vote to adjourn?
All right. David Adams.
Excuse me,
Yes,
what is
I'm
this
willing
a
to
vote on?
adjourn.
Wait a minute.
Wait,
did we
wait, what is
vote
this a vote on?
Did we vote on all of the whatever?
We haven't voted yet.
Roll call vote.
But not to adjourn. Roll call vote on the
minute, on tonight's, yes.
On the
Okay,
calendar
so
agenda.
on the
Calendar agenda.
Okay.
And then we're gonna.
I thought I heard you
and
say
to adjourn.
adjournment. You know, I was like, oh, okay.
And to adjourn, right?
No, David, on the calendar
No.
agenda.
Okay. Yes.
Okay. Yaron Altman.
Yes, present not voting, transportation number 4. I work for New York City DOT. Thank you.
Present not voting. Which agenda item again, Yaron? I'm sorry.
No problem. Transportation 4, please.
Got it. Okay. Jesse Beck.
Yes.
Dominic Berg.
Yes.
Lee Berman.
Yes.
Carlin Chan.
I win, you lose. Yes.
Richard, can you mute?
Jonathan Chu.
Yes. Oh, geez.
David Crane.
Yes.
Felicia Cruikshank. Felicia. Eric Diaz. Yes. Alistar Economakis. Alistar. Shirley Fennessy. Absent. Ryan Gilliam.
Yes.
Okay. Deborah Glass. Absent. Andrea Gordillo.
Yes.
Okay. Herman Hewitt. Herman. Absent. Trevor Holland.
Yep. Yes.
Okay. Linda Jones.
Yes.
All right. Valentina Jones.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. Tatiana Jorio.
Yes.
Yes, got it. Lisa Kaplan.
Yes.
Yes, okay. Olympia Kazi.
Yes.
All right. Joseph Kearns. Michelle Coopersmith.
Yes, thanks for taking the roll call in minutes tonight, Eric.
No problem. May Lee.
Yes.
Got you. Wendy Lee. Absent. Alicia Lewis Coleman.
Yes.
Alicia, all right, yes. David Louis.
Yes.
Okay. Ellen Lou. Ellen. Okay, absent. Michael Marino.
Yes.
Got you. Alexandra Militano. Alex. Absent. Michael Perlis.
Yes.
Okay. Tariq Ramos. Tariq.
Yes.
Got you. Paul Rangel. Paul. Okay. Damaris Reyes.
Yes.
Got you, yes. Richard Ropiak.
No on SLA 4, 5, and 7, and yes on everything else.
Yes. Okay. Thomas Rosa.
Yes.
Okay. Robin Chattel.
Yes.
Yes. Heidi Schmidt.
Yes.
Okay. Larissa Scheinberg.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry. Nisha Stephen.
Yes.
Okay. Sandra Strother.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Got it. Josephine Velez.
Yes.
Okay, got you, Josie. Troy Velez.
Yes.
Okay. Rodney Washington. Rodney. Okay, Rodney. Kathleen.
I'm
Kathleen-
here. I'm here. Yes.
Got you, Rodney. Okay. Kathleen Webster.
Yep, thanks.
Got it. Jackie Wong.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, no problem. And Ricky Wong.
Yes.
All right. That's it.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you so much for filling in tonight. And I want to also send well wishes to Thomas Rosa, who has been ill, and remind everyone we are still in the middle of a pandemic. Please be mindful of that. As board members, I want to thank you all for attending tonight's meeting. And now we will have a roll call vote. If there's no old business, any new business? Robin, are you raising your hand?
Yes.
Okay.
I just have a question. Maybe I missed something. When we're doing these emergency votes like we did tonight, was this in last week? And last we told about this. This happened. We knew about this, right? Before tonight's meeting. We were gonna have to speak to this person, correct?
I'm sorry. What emergency votes? What are you talking about?
The what is it? The treasurer vote we did tonight.
Robin, that was announced last month that we were going.
Well, I'm just double checking that it was announced last month. Okay.
We're not doing anything. Please, I don't understand what's going on right now.
I just forgot, and I wanted to make sure that I thought we talked about this last month.
Yeah, and we sent out an email.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. If there's no old business and there's no new business, I'd like a motion to adjourn. I see, who was that?
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Josie. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night, all.
Have a good weekend.
Good night.